All right, welcome back to Bullet Catcher Gaming. This is Jeff, also known as Corporal Spectre. We're going to do another episode of the costumes based off of movies. This time around, Andy was really eager for me to do Black Hawk Down, uh, and also to do a lot more, like more explaining on the weapons, uh, as a, as well as the costumes. So just a caveat for this. I'm going based off of the movie Black Hawk Down, not off of like any of the you know real historical stuff. If you want to know about that stuff, go read about it. It's quite an interesting and amazing uh, thing that happened. So this is going to be based off of the movie. So um, what you can see here is the characters that I put together. These are kind of the ones that I thought really kind of like gave the best variety of equipment and sort of costumes. And again, keep in mind, obviously these are not accurate to the equipment that they were wearing in real life, nor in the movie. This is the best, facsimile I could make. Um, so, with that, on the far left here, you see is Lieutenant Colonel McKnight, who was the commander of the 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, played by Tom Sizemore. My character is Nelson, or I'm sorry, excuse me, is Grimes, who is a near and dear character to my heart, played by Ewan McGregor, uh, he's a grenadier, and to the right of him is Nelson, who is played by Ewan Bremner. Um, he is a machine gunner, and to the far right is Sanderson, who is played by William Fichtner, who's an amazing actor and one of the members of the character is one of the members of Delta Force. So we'll start from left to right here. So you've got um, you know, uh, Colonel McKnight, who is a battalion commander, really shouldn't. Obviously things went to shit during the events, but in real life, like a lieutenant colonel, if he's got to fire his weapon, there's some bad shit going on. So obviously, that's what we all know about the Black Hawk Down incident in Mogadishu. So his basic, he just has a basic M4, and let me see. I think this was nope. Here he is right here. So he's just got like the basic M4. He was wearing a LBE over his IBA, which was the old, at that time, new body armor. And yeah, and so like I said, from what I saw in the movie, he was just carrying a basic M4 with the uh, stock iron sights on it. Nothing particularly fancy about it. Because again, like I said, most of that stuff's going to go to the guys that are actually pulling their triggers, not what a lieutenant colonel would normally be doing, a battalion commander. And then next, we'll focus on Nelson over here. He was the machine gunner carrying an M249. He had again, basic IBA, and then a machine gunner loadout. Also had the LBE, which the thing with this game is you can't wear a vest and like your load bearing equipment, which is what an LBE is. What I also did with Nelson was I fitted him with the Sandwind dust goggles, as the Army refers to him as, and I gave him these. I think these were the snow gloves, because that's kind of the closest I could make for the all big leather repelling gloves that you saw them as they were jumping and doing the fast rope out of the helicopters at the beginning. So that was what they wear to. Those are like that's the only time you wear those gloves is for fast roping and rappelling. Otherwise, like, they're so big and bulky, you're not doing anything else with them on. And then next we have my character, fitted out as Grimes. He was the grenadier. In the movie, I noticed he had a M16 fitted with the 203 rather than 24, or rather than the M4. But again, he also just had a stock iron sights for his weapon, and yeah, and again, just the basic IBA vest and LBE, and also, so in the movie, these guys were all wearing the chocolate chip camouflage desert pattern, which was the pattern that was worn during Desert Storm and thereafter in the 1990s. And then unfortunately they don't have the three color desert camo, which is what I, oddly enough, watching again this recently, that the Delta guys were wearing. So they were a little ahead of their time, because when we, as I was I'm in the U.S. Army, and when we deployed to Iraq for the first years of Operation Iraqi Freedom, we were wearing just like the three colored desert camouflage, which basically looks the same as this, except without the little white and black specks that you see in there. Uh, so I did notice that the Delta guys were wearing this uniform in the movie Black Hawk Down, and then likewise the they all had these cool, super lightweight, armored vests, and the I, the much lighter ballistic helmets, which I always refer to them as like BMX helmets or skateboard helmets, just because that's what they look like. Despite the fact that they do stand up to more than just falling off your bike or your skateboard. And then yeah, so that's about that. And then also, they didn't have the. I noticed the guys were wearing the 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 flight gloves, which are, man, to this day they're my favorite handwear to wear when I gotta go to the field or play army, which isn't very often anymore. Uh, so we'll go back to these guys, and I can show you exactly what loadout I used for each of them. So we'll go to Colonel McKnight first. So like I said, just kind of basic everything for the time. So the vest I used was the wolf armor. Head protection was the covered ACH, although the ACHs didn't come along until the early 2000s. Even I myself, deploying to Iraq in 2003, 2004 time frame, had the old school K-pots. At least they weren't like the heavy old ones that they used in Vietnam era, but and they were definitely much lighter than that, and uh, provided more protection. And then pants, I just used the cargo pants. Um, nothing fancy there. And the shoes were just the basic combat boots. Shirt used the army jacket top, and that was about it for him. We'll go to, we got, yeah, Twombly here, or sorry, Nelson. So he was again, same helmet. This time his vest, I chose the Black Hawk strike vest, because that seemed like kind of the best fit for him. The gloves, I used the ski gloves, because there was no, the civilian work gloves don't even give the exactly how much bulk you get with those repelling gloves. Pants were the Helicon Tex SP knee pads, because I noticed all the Rangers and the Delta guys were wearing knee pads while they're out there. Again, same, just basic combat boots, although these are much nicer than the issued combat boots of the time, which were just like a canvas top up on a canvas upper, and then like a solid leather two-part leather sole, or leather foot covering, and then the sole was just this kind of basic waffle waffle tread. Nothing very, or like a jungle tread is. You'll see if you want to look up more about it. And let's see here. And then, yep, the goggles. I just used tactical goggles because it seemed like like I said, the army issues. They used to issue these big, bulky, god awful sand wind dust goggles, and yeah, they weren't really good for much anything. They're always fogging up and just a pain in the ass. And I think that's that. Yep. And then now we'll go to Sanderson. And so for him, the head protection I used was the Sentinel Breacher helmet. Like I said, just looks kind of like a bike helmet. And then gave him the same Sandwind Dust goggles. And for his vest, this was the Safariland P1 Covert Carrier. Like I said, if you watch the movie, it seems pretty close to what they had on at that time. And then hands, I gave him these hatch operator gloves because, like I said, they don't have the cool. If you play Wildlands has the flight gloves, the Nomex flight gloves that I'm a big fan of in real life as well as in the game. Not that it really matters in the game. I'll wear anything here. And then again, the pants were just the Helicon Tex SP knee pads, and the camo and the same boots. So that, my friends, is what I put together for you guys. Hopefully you like what you see here. One last thing that I did notice in the movie was the sights that the Delta guys were using in the raid was that they had the M68, which is the name of the site in real life, but for here in the game they call it the Comp M4, I believe. Let me see here, double check. Yeah, the Comp M4 site. So it's the close quarters optic, or CCO, name that some people kind of frown upon it being called. They like the Single Army nomenclature. Anyway, but yeah, so that was that. And then the other thing which I noticed they had on there was a bipod. For some reason, all the Delta guys had bipods fixed on their M4s, which was kind of an odd choice considering they were going in for close quarters combat, and you know, and a bipod is more for stabilization when you're in the prone for long shots. But anyway, something I just noticed. Maybe it was somebody consulting on it had knowledge as to what the actual equipment and gear was that these guys were using. I want to give a shout out to Mark Gordon, who commented on the last video about Three Kings. That's one of my most favorite movies of all time. So I plan to do that next. You'll see a lot of the similar, camo patterns because that movie took place during Desert Storm in the early 90s, and I will try to make the best variety of those characters and costumes that were worn there. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on Discord and become part of the conversation there. Love to see you, and we'll see you next time. Take care.